I've listened to It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Public Enemy for 4 months.
And I listened to it once yesterday.
Welcome to Spin It. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spin It, the record ranking podcast for people who would rather be listening to music. And this time around, the podcast will not be televised, because it never is. I'm James, and with me is Connor.
We could televise it. We could stream it on Twitch.
That's not really is it televised, I guess?
I don't know. It kind of is. Live recording.
Yeah, it kind of counts. But we're not doing it. We're already here. Too late to change that plan. Boy, oh boy, are we going back into the early days of hip-hop. I'm very excited.
Me too. It's been a while since we've hopped.
Or hipped. Yeah.
I hip every day.
Well, hip hip hooray for you.
It's part of my morning routine. I get my morning hip in.
Fantastic. Why don't you just hop when you hip? Do a little morning hip hop.
I'm too tired after my hip to also get a hop in. Haven't built up the endurance.
Got it. Maybe in time you could just train yourself. That's kind of what this is, though. This is me training you to hip hop better. We've swung wide in the past on hip hop and rap episodes for you. I think a lot of them earlier tended to receive lower scores. Later on, though, we've really struck some gold with like Wiz Khalifa and Jay-Z, like our last couple outings.
You finally picked good rap. I don't know why you started with the bad stuff.
It's not bad. It was all good. And I'm curious to see where this one lands, too, because in my mind, Public Enemy is way closer on the spectrum to like the Wu-Tang Clans and the Tribe Called Quests and the stuff that you were less favorable towards. But really, there's like not much comparison. Everyone's so different. I like it a lot. I'm finding out through the process of this podcast and just ranking more hip-hop albums that I think I'm probably more of a classic hip-hop fan. I really kind of can get into the older stuff. Public Enemy, I mean, to talk about older...
They're the enemy of the public.
Well, yeah, the enemy of the public, I guess.
And I'm part of the public, which makes them my enemy.
They're your enemy? Today we're talking about It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back by Connor Enemy.
Hey, you know what they say? The enemy of my public is my public enemy.
That's not what they say. That's what you just said. And in fact, I think the saying you're going for is the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
That's derivative of the original saying.
Questionable. But talking about like foundational hip hop and stuff.
Sure.
Public Enemy, I think, is tied for the second oldest rap act that we've covered.
Sure.
They formed in 1985, the same year as A Tribe Called Quest, actually, which is fun. I think there's some elements of their music that's very similar, like leaning so much on samples and stuff, but...
Oh, wait. Maybe I've misinterpreted their name.
Okay.
I'm now starting to think that they're an enemy that has gone public. They're not a private enemy anymore. They've gone public. We could buy up like shares.
They're not an enemy of the public. They are an enemy
that is public.
In public.
Yeah, they're a public enemy.
Maybe they're an enemy. There's a lot of ways that it can be interpreted, I guess. We'll get into it.
I'll take 2 shares of enemy, please.
Their stock symbol is NME. That's probably already a stock symbol. I don't know, but maybe. Right. Well, the founding duo of Public Enemy is a pair of people you may have heard of. Carlton Ridenhour and William Drayton. Those names ring a bell?
Never heard of them.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But you may know them better as Chuck D and Flavor Flav. Although, Connor, you specifically, I'm not convinced that you do know them any better with those nicknames.
How dare you?
What, do you know Chuck D and Flavor Flav?
You don't think I don't know who Chuck D and Flavor Flav is?
Yeah, I do think you don't know that. I also don't think you can conjugate plurals.
Well, jury's still out on that second one, but on the first one, I'm offended. Of course I know who Flavor Flav is.
Yeah?
Yeah, Chuck D sounds familiar, but I wouldn't hang my hat on that one. But I absolutely know of Flavor Flav.
Okay. Why do you know of Flavor Flav?
No idea.
Okay.
It's just a name I know.
I think I kind of can reveal some of that mystery for you.
Yeah?
My earliest exposure to Flavor Flav as a character, I mean, I hadn't listened to Public Enemy and still didn't for a long time after this. But in high school, we had to have hall passes whenever we wanted to leave class to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't just do boring, like, slips of paper or whatever. The teachers were allowed to make their hall passes unique things. I feel like someone had, like, a tennis ball that was a hall pass, or, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like a yardstick. Well, they were just ridiculous things. And one of our teachers, their hall pass was a giant clock necklace.
Yes!
And it wasn't like, it didn't look like Flavor Flav's, but everyone always made the joke that it was like Flavor Flav. And I didn't know who that was. And basically all anyone said when I would ask is, he wears a big clock.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, guess that's it.
I think I totally forgot about the hall pass clock, but yes, I think the fact that he wears the iconic clock is also just how I know him from other pop culture references and other things. Probably is it's all tied to that stupid clock.
If you see someone wearing a clock, you think Flavor Flav.
Yeah, and I don't know. I have a tingle of a memory from my college days of someone constantly like making Flavor Flav references, but I don't remember who or what it was.
Was it just someone that went, yeah, boy, a lot? Because
honestly, that sounds about right.
Kinda could
I
be.
think you've nailed it.
I think they've nailed it. That's the Flavor Flav thing. All it takes is one pass through this album, and you'll know exactly that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know who Flavor Flav is, and Chuck D sounds familiar, but
okay,
maybe not.
Chuck D, he does sound familiar. He kind of reminds me of Sunny D, like the drink.
Oh, they should partner. Chuck D, Sunny D.
They should. That'd be a good collab. Sunny D, if you're listening, you know what to do. Also, Chuck D, if you're listening, that's way cooler, and you also know what to do. But the two of them, yeah, that's the foundational part of Public Enemy. They met when they were students at Adelphi University in New York, and they bonded pretty quickly over their love of music. They met because Chuck D's dad ran a furniture store, and the two of them would hang out and hone their rap skills while they were out on furniture deliveries, working for the business. Probably the coolest U-Haul in the state of New York.
It's actually a little known fact that the D in Chuck D stands for delivery.
Chuck Delivery. Isn't it? Yes, Charles Delivery.
That's his government name.
And Flavor Flav is short for Flavor. It's Charles Delivery and Flavor. Public Enemy. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Just for the sake of not spreading misinformation, the D in Chuck D does not stand for delivery. I don't really know what it stands for, but there you go.
Honestly, what's the D in Sunny D stand for?
I don't know.
Just a couple of mysterious D's.
It's mysterious.
Oh.
Yeah, right. They're delivering furniture. So that all led into Chuck D and his group called Spectrum City releasing a record that was called Check Out the Radio. And it featured the song Lies, which would go on to catch the attention of other groups like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys, who I will never let you live down. You mistakenly called the Beastie Boys a boy band.
They're a band of boys.
They're a band of boys. It's true. Chuck D and Flavor Flav were also working together in addition to the furniture deliveries. They're also working together at their college radio station. Obviously, that's a pretty fast track to get his own music on the air. Just play it on your own college radio station.
That would make sense.
Right. It's like payola, but free.
We should do that. We should start our own podcasting platform.
And then only play our podcast.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. That kind of seems like what spinitpod.com already is.
We're so smart, we already had the idea.
I would say so. We're ahead of the game. Chuck D, at this point, I guess he's Chuck DJ, while he's working at the radio station.
That's actually pretty funny.
It is, yeah. He also participated in a rap battle around this time against a local MC. And he said that all the flack that he caught for that, you know, being the guy to challenge the local hip-hop hero, he said that made him feel like Public Enemy #1. And so that's what he decided to title his recording. He just called it Public Enemy #1. And so he's got his songs on the radio. He's got this really unique voice and style that catches the attention of Dr. Dre and Rick Rubin.
Another one of the mysterious D's, Dr. Dre.
Well, no, I mean...
He's pretty mysterious.
I guess he's kind of mysterious.
Says it, just says it. We talked about him a lot, I feel like. He comes up a lot on our rap episodes, but...
Well, it's because he's done a lot for rap.
We haven't talked about him specifically, so he's still a mystery to the podcast.
I guess. That's true. We could do the Chronic someday. I've scored the Chronic, actually. We could do that anytime you want.
I don't pick the order, so... It's not anytime I want.
You could do it as a Connor's pick. That'd be, wow.
Maybe I will.
Maybe. That'll be the day. But yeah, Dre and Rick Rubin. Take note of Chuck D. Rick Rubin says, oh wow, I love this guy. I need him on my label. So Chuck D, Flavor Flav, and the other members of Spectrum City, who, by the way, are Hank and Keith Shocklee and Vietnam Sadler. They're known as the Bomb Squad, collectively. And there's also Professor Griff, who is their Minister of Information. That's kind of the group that heads over to Rick Rubin's label. Also, they brought on local DJ and producer and hype man Terminator X to fully round out the lineup. You'll learn more about Terminator X as we listen to this album. He comes up many a time. Public Enemy, right from the jump, is a band that's built on speaking out and making a statement. I mean, it's the same kind of activism and stuff that groups like A Tribe Called Quest were doing at the time, but Public Enemy does it in a very overt and aggressive kind of way. Label execs and listening audiences alike are very, very drawn to the messaging and to the way that they blend identity, politics, humor, and music in a really compelling way on each of their albums. You know, Tribe did their jazz-infused hip-hop. Public Enemy does a way more funk-oriented and rock-oriented sampling. So their sound is heavier and grittier. It's kind of got a different pulse to it altogether than the Wu-Tang Clan or A Tribe Called Quest. Other stuff that we've kind of explored in that realm.
It's rap.
Rock rap?
Yeah.
Okay. Rap.
Tribe Called Quest would have been Raz.
That's a berry. So the group's first major outing as Public Enemy, as like a band, happened in 1986 when they toured as an opening act for the Beastie Boys, at the height, actually, of the Beastie Boys' License to Ill fame. Audiences really, really, really liked the band's energetic and engaging live performances. It quickly became a staple of the band's image to put on raucous, rowdy, engaging live shows.
You're referring to Public Enemy, not the Beastie Boys, correct?
Yes. No, not the Beastie Boys.
Because you said Beastie Boys was the last like proper noun you used, and then you kept using there, and so I was making sure that you weren't just giving me more background information on the Beastie Boys.
Okay. Look, I appreciate how hard you're trying to make up for the fact that you said is instead of are earlier on.
Just trying to show I know a little bit about grammar.
You do.
I know it's a constant struggle on this podcast, my ability to speak. That doesn't mean I don't know that I'm wrong when I'm wrong.
Well, touche.
I just can't stop myself.
It's not a matter of knowledge, it's a matter of execution.
Yeah. It's a matter of skill.
It's a skill issue. Yes, Public Enemy's first record, Yo Bum Rush the Show, came out a year later in 1987. It was actually one of the fastest selling rap records up to that point, but radio stations were very hesitant to give it too many plays. Maybe unsurprisingly, in the year 1987, a lot of popular radio stations were not big fans of the record's politics. It was a little too forthcoming, a little too much for what radio was willing to give a chance. That said, though, it was an instant landmark record for the genre. The Washington Post said that compared to its contemporaries, Yo Bum Rush the Show was a more serious brand of inner city aggression, and they said that Public Enemy's mean and minimalist rap is marked by an absolute absence of melody. The scary sound is just a throbbing pulse, hard drums, and a designed to irritate electronic whine like a dentist's drill or a persistent mosquito. And I mean, they said that about Bum Rush the Show, but I think that all holds pretty true for Nation of Millions as well. And I think that maybe is a bad harbinger for your score. A complete absence of melody and dentist drill samples. Like, I don't know. I was a little worried about this one.
I'm a big fan of the dentist.
You are a big fan of the dentist?
Yeah, they keep your teeth clean.
Well, they do. That's true.
Big fan.
I still feel like that's an unpopular opinion, but fair enough. So maybe you be a big fan of Public Enemy's dentist drill too. I don't know. Bum Rush the Show did manage to hit number 125 on Billboard's Top LPs chart. Within a year, it sold 300,000 copies in the United States. Basically, it's a very strong start to get the band rolling and into their second, probably most iconic album, and the one we're talking about today. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Obviously, it's Public Enemy's sophomore outing, second record, but they've been working on it and recording it for quite a while, from 1987 to 88. Chuck D actually said that on the day that Yo Bum Rush the Show was released, we were already in the trenches recording Nation of Millions. So, I mean, practically no time at all until they were working on the next record. They also took the experience that they had under their belts now, figuring out what audiences were responding to. They figured, hey, people really like our live shows. So, with Nation of Millions, they tried to capture that lightning in a bottle, tried to bring that same energy that they exude on the stage and put it on wax. They went for faster beats. They went for more aggressive samples, a raw sound that, I mean, straight up at times on this album is just captured live. It's really cool. Chuck actually said years of saved up ideas were compiled into one focused oral missile. So this is just like an audio ICBM. is basically what he's saying. We just took all this stuff and launched it at the audience.
Yeah.
Hank Shocklee, who was the kind of the mastermind behind a lot of the production on this album, he said that, hey, Chuck's a powerful rapper. We wanted to make something that could sonically stand up to him. And it wasn't an easy job. They found a lot of audio engineers that just did not want to get involved with hip-hop at all. Remember, 1987 is pretty early in the days of, like, proper rap music. So a lot of producers just were kind of out right out of the gate. But their work ethic and their dedication to their craft is really what won over a solid team of producers, and it led to a very hands-on creative process. Chuck said it wasn't that we took records and rapped over them. We actually had an intricate way of developing sound, arranging the sound. We had musicians like Eric Sadler, Hank Shocklee, who he calls the Phil Spector of hip-hop. He said you got to give the credit as it's due. If Phil Spector has the wall of sound, Hank Shocklee has the wall of noise. And so that's what they incorporate into Nation of Millions, this big wall of noise. Chuck also said that once hip-hop became corporate, they took the daredevil out of the artistry. But being a daredevil was what Hank brought to the table. Chuck even went so far as to call Hank an anti-musician. And that's because he had a lot of unique and wild techniques and ideas. Hank Shocklee hated linear songs, is what he says. So he tries to arrange things in new ways. He doesn't just go from verse to chorus to verse to chorus. There's not a lot of structure in that sense. So he tries to mix things up a lot. And that's where a lot of these unique samples come in.
Hey, and that's the kind of stuff I like, is something that's not the same every time.
Uh-huh. That's a good point. Maybe Hank Shocklee's your guy. And he also just made some interesting decisions. If he was sampling a record and he thought that it sounded too crisp and too clean for his wall of noise, he literally would take it, put it on the ground, and stomp all over it to rough it up and to get the sound a little more gritty. Unreal. But that's the way it was, and that it worked. It's also really interesting to note, and kind of an easy thing to overlook, if you're just listening to this record in the digital age of music and audio editing, it kind of can fly right by you. But they didn't use any automated mixing on Nation of Millions. Everything that they sampled, they cut and they moved. They did it manually on a tape by hand. Like,
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. They sat there for hours and hours and spliced and shuffled and moved. And I mean, to talk about arranging a song, that's quite literally, like, physically what they're doing, sitting in the editing bay. Public Enemy viewed the record as their attempt to make a hip-hop version of Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, which is, of course, one of the most renowned soul albums ever made, and it also doesn't shy away from strong political statements. Do you know Marvin Gaye? Do you know What's Going On?
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Okay, it's a classic.
It is.
So that's what they're trying to replicate, the energy they're trying to bring. It ended up being a very quick, but also pretty expensive process. They recorded the entire record over the span of 30 days with $25,000 in recording costs. And as you can imagine, and as you probably heard as you listen to the record, it took a lot of manpower to produce with all the samples that are in it. Chuck called it an aggressive race against the clock teamwork, taking chances in sound. And in fact, while Public Enemy was on tour, Chuck and Flavor Flav went out on the road, Sadler and Shocklee stayed behind to just keep grinding and keep working in the studio while they were gone. Nation of Millions finally came out on June 28th, 1988. And just like Bum Rush the Show, it was a smash hit. Especially looking backwards, right? Retrospectively, critics have praised it a ton. Author Ron Eglish said that it was massively interconnected political and sonic content. And he said the group navigated the ambiguity between the philosophies of sound and voice. Public Enemy's sound demonstrated an integration of lyrical content, vocal tone, sample density, and layering, scratch deconstruction, and sheer velocity that rap music has never been able to recapture, and that hip-hop DJs and producers are still mining for gems. Basically, he's saying they're the first to do it, and to this day they're the only ones to do it like this. Rolling Stone described the album as a Molotov cocktail of nuclear scratching, gnarly minimalist electronics, and revolution rhyme. They would actually go on to rank Nation of Millions as the 48th greatest album of all time, which means it was the highest ranked album in the entire hip-hop genre on their lists, which is pretty cool. In one single month, By the end of July 1988, Nation of Millions sold 500,000 copies, and it peaked at number 42 on the Billboard Top Pop Albums chart, and it topped the Black Albums chart. Remember that one from the other week about Creedence? How it transitioned from R&B to Black Albums, and then today to R&B and hip-hop?
Yeah, yep.
That's the chart that it was on.
Huh.
Yeah, the same chart that Creedence topped. Public Enemy topped. By the end of 1989, Nation of Millions would be certified platinum, and it's pretty much got 5-star, A+, 10 out of 10 rankings across the board. You'd be hard-pressed to find a reputable publication that didn't love it. Q called it the greatest rap album of all time. Time magazine put it in its top 100. It was the very first hip-hop album to be voted Album of the Year in the Village Voice's Paz and Jop poll, so it's done pretty well. Other trivia tidbits that you may find interesting about Nation of Millions: they made the album exactly 1 hour in length. Each side takes up an even 30 minutes because it's the late 80s.
It's the ladies.
The ladies, yeah, the late 80s. And cassette tape technology, that's the cream of the crop. That's as good as it gets. And so when they wanted to put this album on tape, the half hour on each side was to prevent dead air on the flip side of the tape. You got a 45-minute album and it's 30 minutes and 15 minutes. Half of the other side of your tape is going to be empty. So they filled it all out.
Yep.
Also, fun trivia tidbit from the future: Nirvana's Kurt Cobain actually cited Nation of Millions as one of his personal favorite top 50 albums. So that's a whole lot to say for a sophomore album.
There's a lot to say. It's about 30 minutes worth to say.
Right. And it's a long album, too. We've got 16 tracks on it, so we're going to cruise through the rest of their career. Obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg, the beginning of the Public Enemy story, if you're interested.
Mm-hmm.
But, that's through the first 2 albums. The rest of their career, in short, is as follows. Their third album, Fear of a Black Planet, was also a smash hit. Their single, Fight the Power, which you may know.
Mm-hmm. I do know that one.
I thought so. It's one of the biggest hip-hop singles of all time. Literally. Not an exaggeration, no joke. Fight the Power is probably top 10 hip-hop songs of all time. They've gone through some lineup changes, little label drama. Also, I think Fight the Power was briefly featured in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, if I remember right.
Were they?
No, the song Fight the Power, not the band Public Enemy.
Oh.
Yeah, they've gone through some lineup changes, some label drama. Who hasn't?
Who hasn't?
Not us. But today, the group is still together and going strong, fronted by Chuck D and Flavor Flav as always, except for actually a brief period in 2020 where they faked Flavor Flav's firing for a publicity stunt. They joked like he was getting the boot, and he did not. Public Enemy and S1W today consist of 13 MCs, instrumentalists, producers, DJs, and a lot more. Quite a roster. They've put out a grand total of 15 studio albums, and their most recent was 2020's What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down, an apt title for an album in 2020.
Yeah.
But there you go. What did we do? And as for the awards and accolades of Public Enemy, boy, they are not an enemy of the public. The public loves them. Between 1989 and 1992, the group was nominated for 3 American Music Awards for Favorite Rap and Hip Hop Album. In 1992, they earned a Soul Train Best Rap Album Award. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013, and they've earned 6 Grammy nominations. No wins yet, unfortunately, but in 2020, they did receive a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award, which is an interesting award to receive from a group that has won no Grammys in their lifetime.
Hey, but they achieved.
They did achieve. It's undeniable that they have achieved. So that's the beginning of Public Enemy. Before we dive into It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back more specifically, we should probably talk to podcast enemy number 1.
Actually, I fired the Mixtaper.
You fired the Mixtaper?
Yeah.
What are we going to do without him? Well, you didn't consult me. You just unilaterally...
Well, after the incident a few weeks ago, we had to get rid of him.
Oof. Yeah, he really did drop that ball on the Creedence episode.
Hey, it's me, the Mixtaper.
What?
It was a publicity stunt.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Oh, no.
I wasn't fired.
He did the Flavor Flav thing.
No, he did the Mixtaper thing.
Well, you can't say that you did it first because
Well, he copied my idea. He stole my journal. I had that written in a journal that mysteriously went missing after we hung out.
after you hung out with Flavor Flav,
Yeah.
the idea was in the journal.
It was Flavor Flav and Mixy Mix hanging out.
Mixy Mix, boy, I hate that. It's somehow it's very cool when Flavor Flav does it, and I feel like very uncool when anybody else tries. Is there any other word that you could do that with? Is Flavor the only one? Did he just really nail it?
Yeah, well, I think the problem is that I added a Y to the end of a word that made it really uncool.
That's true. Mixy Mix, yeah.
Like maybe tape or tape.
No, see, that's still bad.
Oh, yeah, I think he just nailed it then. We've tried all the options.
I think Flavor's the only one.
Well, I think this will be a good week of Factor Spin, hopefully. Some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, Connor mentioned you were very excited about it.
It's always good to be back with a normal round of Factor Spin.
That's true. 2 spins and a win. Sounded like a lot of fun, but good to get back to basics. The classic 4, you know.
The classic 4. Flavor Flav. Actually, no, you know what? It's been a minute. You pick the order, 1 through 4.
Oh, what one were you about to tell me?
Number 1.
Okay, let's start with number 1.
Number 1. Flavor Flav was named ambassador to Flavortown.
Boy, you're not holding anything back. Okay. Flavortown like Guy Fieri, Flavortown?
Yeah.
Interesting. It makes too much sense. That's what I don't like about this.
Uh-huh.
I don't like how much sense it makes.
Sure.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with this. What does it really mean to be the ambassador of Flavortown? Is it just an honorary title?
I think it's just an honorary title.
Okay. Well, like he doesn't do anything. He doesn't, I don't know.
No, he does not.
Doesn't have any role in the Flavortown city government. Just checking. Yeah, this is an appointed position, not an elected position. Then Guy Fieri, I'm guessing, did this himself.
Sure did.
So whose idea was this, is my real question. Is Flavor Flav a huge diners, drive-ins, and dives guy? Or is Guy Fieri a huge Public Enemy fan?
Well...
Or neither. I guess I just gave you 2 real extremes.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if either one of them are a really big fan of it, but Flavor Flav was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Ooh.
Which is when he was named
Was he in a diner, a drive-in, or a dive?
Diner. Maybe Dive?
Okay.
I don't know what the difference is.
It's a little ambiguous. How does Flavor Flav end up on the show? In this diner or dive?
They went to his restaurant.
Flavor Flav owns a restaurant. I see. What's it called?
Flav's Fried Chicken.
Where is it?
Iowa.
Iowa?
Yep.
Why?
Well, he opened it with Iowa restaurateur Nick Camino. That ought to cover all the ways you could say that.
Sure. Why? What's the appeal there? How'd they get connected?
Don't know actually how they got connected, but Flavor Flav started working in restaurants after he graduated from culinary school.
There's so many ways this could go wrong for me. Like, the Guy Fieri thing could be false. This Flav's Chicken restaurant could be false.
A lot of falsities.
Potentially.
Also potential for a lot of truthities.
Yeah, it's just a situation where, of course, you would lie about this because his name is Flavor Flav and it's Flavortown.
Sure.
But of course, if you were Guy Fieri and Flavortown was like your brand, of course you'd go for Flavor Flav.
Yep, that is the conundrum you're in.
I think this is a fact.
Going with fact.
It's weird that the restaurant's in Iowa. Really weird.
That's where restaurateur Nick Camino. I think that's another way I can pronounce it.
Right. That's where he is, but why? I don't know.
He doesn't know.
Does he own any other restaurants?
I assume if his title is restaurateur, he owns...
Are they all in Iowa?
Don't know. I did not look up Nick.
I guess I'm going to keep asking questions that make you say his name. Anyway, yeah, you didn't look him up. Sure.
Anyway, I can tell you this is a spin.
I was worried about it, and I almost changed, but I wasn't sure if I had said I locked it in.
No, and I wanted to get over it before you changed your mind. Most of that's actually true, though. Flavor Flav did graduate from culinary school in 1978.
Weirdly, I didn't have any problem with that.
And in 2001, he opened Flav's Fried Chicken with Iowa restaurateur who shall not be named.
That guy.
However, the pair fell out and the business collapsed in under 4 months. So he was never on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives and never named the ambassador to Flavortown.
Yeah, the Flavortown thing was close. It does surprise me. I think the restaurant probably folded in 4 months because, again, he put it in Iowa.
Well, it sounds like it folded because the two had a falling out, not necessarily the location.
Well, that could be, but I feel like everyone in the entire state of Iowa could eat there once a week, and it would fold in 4 months.
Dang.
So
But yeah, I mean, how could I not bring a Flavortown fact when the guy's name is Flavor Flav? Couldn't resist.
that's true. And it's also really great that he named himself Flavor Flav after culinary school.
Yeah.
Like, of everything he learned and all that he gleaned from that, all he took was the name Flavor.
Hey, Flavor Flavs. That's what he learned.
That's what he does.
He flavs.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was fact number 1.
Off to a wild start.
Yep.
Mostly I just picked that one because we already had the Flavor Flav part spoiled, and I didn't want to...
Well, the really fun part is there was another one that starts that same way, so you had a 50-50 chance of picking one that would have started that.
Oh, let's see if I can find it. I'm going to say it's number 4.
The band gets free room service in hotels thanks to Flavor Flav.
Oh, thanks to Flavor Flav. Interesting. Is this related to his fake status as the ambassador of Flavortown? That'd be cool.
Yeah, he flashes a badge.
They want to impress the ambassador. You want a good review on your hotel restaurant, don't you? Pay up. Well, how does he do this? Is this related to the culinary school thing? Or Flavor Flav is just a cool guy. Do people just go, oh my gosh, it's Flavor Flav, get him whatever he wants?
No, he strikes a deal with the hotel.
Oh, fun. What's he trade for free room service?
A piano performance.
Really? How's that go? Like, does he just do it the day after? You know, if they stay in a hotel for a night.
Yep.
Does he just say, hey, give me free room service tomorrow morning, I'll come down and play the piano, and all the guests eating your free continental breakfasts will love it.
I don't know whether he does it up front or an after payment of free room service, but yeah, he has often struck deals with the hotels he stays at to perform in the lobby on the lobby piano in exchange for free food.
Well, what if the lobby doesn't have a piano?
Well, then he probably doesn't strike the deal.
Touche.
I would assume that the negotiations would fall apart in that scenario.
They're conditional. Yeah. So in some hotels...
Yeah, not all people. It's not like he has like a writer that gets him free room service wherever he goes.
Well, no. That'd be cool, though.
Hey, a lot of power behind the badge of Flavortown Ambassador.
It's true.
But yeah, he's actually a classically trained pianist.
I see. And a trained chef? Mm-hmm. Is there anything Flav cannot do?
Yet to be seen.
He can't be seen?
Well, no, wait.
Invisible Flav. I think this is probably a spin as well. I'm on board with the trained pianist part. It's just a situation like the band Camino Bingo Cage, where so many hotels probably don't have lobby pianos.
Right. So
like,
he probably doesn't do it for those ones.
Yeah, but it seems just the application seems limited, and
fair enough.
Like, if I'm a hotel, the amount you're going to spend for room service is probably going to far exceed the value I would get from you playing the piano in my lobby. Now, would that be cool? Yeah. If I were like the owner of the hotel, would I do that and just have Flavor Flav play the piano for me personally? Like in my office? Maybe. I'm going to still say I think it's a spin.
No, that's fine. You lock in whatever you want. All I was trying to I never meant to imply it was like all hotels ever. It's just I found when he's on tour, he'll offer to play the pianos in the hotels they stay in exchange for free food. I was not trying to imply it's every hotel ever that he's ever stayed in.
All the time. He brings his own piano in exchange.
I like that. So you're locking in spin.
Yeah, I don't think it's true.
I can tell you this is a spin.
Thank goodness. If you said true, I was going to say, let's check spoof.com. Let's get over there and be on the ball for this one. So it's a spin. It's not true. He pays for his room service.
He is a classically trained pianist, and when the group goes on tour, he often plays the pianos in the hotel lobbies, and the hotel folk always are shocked to see him playing it.
That's really interesting and fun. I bet that's like a superpower. I wish I could just play a piano that was out and about and like be good at it.
I was about to say you can.
Yeah.
It's nothing stopping you.
Right, but yeah, again, I'd have to be good at it.
Yeah.
Not good enough to get free room service necessarily, but I'd want to impress people and not have them call someone to make me stop.
All right, well, at least you have number 2 and number 3.
Yeah, making a nice little sandwich, but in reverse. Let's take number 3.
Number 3. You know, it's a special time of year, especially when we're recording this. And, you know, it's just a special year in general. So I think there's a certain recurring fact that I would be remiss as a mixtaper not to bring up about this time.
Oh boy. Something tells me we're in for a good old-fashioned fact about Flavor Flav and the Olympics.
Flavor Flav performed at the Olympics.
I knew it. Flavor Flav actually has been very closely tied to this Olympics.
Yes.
I've seen his name come up a lot.
I was surprised it wasn't in your rundown at all.
Well, the Olympics happened, to be honest, after I took the notes on this episode.
Fair enough.
But I was surprised to see Flavor Flav come up so much because this episode was already on the schedule and Flavor Flav was super relevant at the Olympics. So a lot of your Olympic performance facts haven't been about Olympic performances. What did Flavor Flav do at the Olympics? I know some, but what are you talking about?
Well, he performed at the Olympics.
Performed what?
His duties.
He performed his duties? I was going to say he performed good deeds at the Olympics. That's true. What are Flavor Flav's, in your point of view, Olympic duties?
Well, he's the official hype man.
The official hype man. I know Snoop Dogg did a lot of hype manning as well, but I think he was the official hype dog with 2 G's.
Yeah. Flavor Flav is actually the official hype man of the USA water polo team.
That is true. Mm-hmm. He was very hype about the water polo team. I saw a lot of people saying that he adopted them. And the other thing that I saw that was really cool was that he helped financially support them too, because I mean, you don't get paid to go over to the Olympics. You might get comped, but you still have to take care of expenses and stuff back home. And the water polo team, I think, had some members express that was really difficult. And Flavor Flav paid out of his own pocket for some members of the team, like their rent and their other expenses while they were competing, which is really cool.
It is really cool.
That is an Olympic duty.
It is an Olympic duty, and he took his duty so far as to cheer them on poolside during their matches. Is that what it's called? Is it called a match?
A water polo match? Maybe? Yeah. Game?
I'm going to go with match. He hyped them up poolside during the team's matches wearing a water polo cap and a Team USA branded waterproof clock necklace.
And that's the part that makes this debatable, whether it's true or not. I was wondering, I was like, yeah, this is true. Yes, I know this. Yeah. And then you just went and said Team USA branded waterproof clock side necklace.
First off, the word clock side never came out of my mouth.
No, it didn't. I know. I just said that one. It's because he was poolside with a clock. The pool was what was clock side, really.
Yep. To be fair, he was clock side.
Right. So Flavor Flav's got this USA branded clock. What's it look like?
It's a clock necklace. USA branded.
Right. True. Yeah. Great. That's the only thing that's really given me any pause about this. I'm going to say it's a fact.
Oh, okay. Fine. If you want to lock it now before I've given you all the fun details I have.
Well, are you going to count what I say as right or wrong based on the details I already have?
I don't understand the question.
Like if I said, yeah, I want to lock in fact right now, I think everything you've said is true, and I lock in fact, and you keep talking, obviously the first thing you're going to say is going to be fake, so that you could just say, oop, it's a lie.
Well, you don't have to be locked in right now. I'm basically saying, do you want to lock in now before I've given you all the information, or would you like to hear more? Because I have more to say.
I would like this to be over, but I want to hear more, I guess.
Under the terms of the sponsorship deal.
Oh, specific.
Yeah. It's either a 4 or 5 year sponsorship deal where each year he will make appearances at USA water polo events, as well as lend his social media presence to the team to help amplify the sport's reach and engage new audiences.
That's cool.
While at the Olympics, he and Guy Fieri
Flavortown
cheered on the USA water polo team.
Interesting. Now, I don't remember seeing anything about Guy Fieri at the Olympics. Not that I would have absolutely known that. It's not impossible that I would have just missed that. Mm-hmm. But it's also still very suspicious that he's here. I think you've swayed me. I think I now disbelieve.
What, just because Guy Fieri showed up?
I think Guy Fieri showing up is super questionable. Yeah, I'm not sure. And the specifics of the contract could be interesting. It's definitely possible that you pretended to not remember whether it's a 4-year or a 5-year contract, just to make it seem like you had seen information about that when you just made it up.
No, I promise the 4 or the 5-year contract thing isn't making this a spin. I just couldn't be bothered to figure out which tab had that specifics on it.
Just it's the Guy Fieri thing. Why is he here? And Flavor Flav, I guess he's gone to culinary school. I just hate...
He's the ambassador.
He's not. That was lies.
Well, since I've convinced you this is a spin, I can tell you, here's a picture of the necklace.
Boy, that sure does look like Guy Fieri behind him.
And that is indeed Guy Fieri and Flavor Flav cheering on the U.S. women's water polo team together in Paris on whatever day they played France and won.
Very specific. Yeah, so that looks like that would make this true.
It is indeed a true fact.
Until you say that, I can't be sure. But darn, yeah, the Guy Fieri thing just really, when his name is Flavor Flav, Guy Fieri's presence in all these facts is really causing me strife.
I'll be honest, finding this out is what inspired the Flavortown ambassador fact.
Wow.
That's why I originally was going to go with it first, and then I was like, no, we'll let James pick, and then you still picked it first, and I think it worked out really well.
It did.
Because then it just made this one more suspicious.
Very suspicious. And it actually probably the other way around would have worked too. I don't know if I would have believed this because Guy Fieri's so suspicious. And then to say, oh, it was true, he met Guy Fieri, and then say, he's an ambassador to Flavortown. I would have been like, oh, that just happened, of course.
Yep.
Hanging out with his ambassador.
Yep.
Just a couple of politicians doing politics at the Olympics.
Yeah, I think it's really cool.
That is, I didn't know he had a whole contract for like multiple years, but I definitely thought it was really cool to see what he did at the Olympics for the water polo team anyway. And he's paying money to them. It's a very interesting sponsorship deal.
Yeah, a lot of money. He said, this is one of the biggest things that I feel that I could have ever done in life outside of the other accomplishments that I've made to music.
Outside of everything that I've done, this is the biggest thing I've ever done.
And then he said, by sponsoring a water polo team and helping these girls out, this is bigger than me winning a Grammy.
Wow.
And it all started because the rapper first connected with the team back in, I think, May of this year when one of the athletes from the team posted on social media about how awesome her teammates are and how like big of powerhouses her team is, even though they don't get a lot of recognition because water polo isn't that popular of a sport.
It's a wild sport.
And I guess something about that really resonated with Flavor Flav. And so she did. She went on and on to talk about how some Olympians need a second or even third job to help support chasing their dream of participating in the Olympics. Flavor Flav said, as a girl dad and supporter of all women's sports, I'm going to personally sponsor you girls, whatever you need. My manager is in touch with your agent, and I'm going to use all my relationships and resources to help you all even more. That's a Flavor Flav, all capitals, promise.
Nice. That's awesome.
He said, I'm going to be bigger than any cheerleader that they've had in their entire life.
Nice. Yeah, that's really neat.
But that leaves us with only one fact to go.
That's true. Is it also just about Flavor Flav?
No.
Or is Chuck D going to get any Factor Spin love?
Oh, no. Chuck D doesn't get any love.
Wow. The D stands for denied.
Maybe next time, Chuck D. There's just too much going on with Flavor Flav.
Wait till our Public Enemy #2 episode.
I mean, he was included in the band getting free room service.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was there. He was a part of that, I guess.
No, we're actually going to jump over to Terminator X for our last fact.
Whoa. Okay.
Terminator X raises Johnny Cash assassinators.
So I'd also just side note before we dive into that, and I already know where this is kind of headed. None of the other facts started out with Flavor Flav. When I said the first one, and you said another fact starts out like that.
Flavor Flav performed at the Olympics.
Well, I guess you just said he performed at the Olympics. We didn't.
Oh.
Touche.
Yeah.
We didn't end up introing it like that.
It's because you kind of already knew where I was headed. You beat me to it.
That's true. So I also kind of know where this is headed.
Okay.
Terminator X raises Johnny Cash assassinators.
Yeah.
Crazy. Johnny Cash died of natural causes in old age. But in our Johnny Cash episode way back in the 40s, which you've been throwing it back to the episodes in the 40s a lot lately, with the Metallica toilet, now this. We talked about how Johnny Cash was almost killed by a rogue ostrich.
Yep.
After he was beating it.
Yep.
Like, he tried to train the ostrich through forcible means. The ostrich did not like that. And so it, like, gored him in the chest.
Yep.
And it was, like, so unbelievably close to killing him.
Yep.
And so it sounds like you're trying to say that Terminator X raises ostriches.
Sure am.
That's wild. I don't even know where to begin.
You've already begun.
I guess so how did he begin? How does one get into raising ostriches?
Well, when one retires from the music business, one needs a new hobby.
Of course.
Why not make that hobby ostriches?
Yeah, why not? But why? Doesn't seem like a go-to.
He had a 15-acre farm with nothing raised on it. Why not ostriches?
How many ostriches has he raised?
I don't know. Don't have a number. But I do know that they're African black ostriches.
Okay. What are the specs on that? How big and how fast are they?
Give me the specs. Give me the spec sheet on black African ostriches.
Yeah. Just like, what are the deets? What's under the hood?
I mean, I think the black African ostrich is kind of the stereotypical ostrich that you think of. The black feathers.
Okay. I guarantee you, I've never thought of a different looking ostrich in my life.
Well, some of them are black, some of them are brown, some of them are white. Like, you got different colored feathers, right?
That's true.
So I think this is just the black variety. It's a subspecies of the common ostrich.
It's an uncommon ostrich. And you don't know how many he has. What does he do anything with them? They're just pets? Does he
He raises them for their meat, feathers, and eggs.
for their meat, feathers, and eggs?
It's pretty much the entire ostrich.
I don't even know what else to ask.
Yeah, well, that's all I really got for you. Would you like the specs? I mean, what kind of specs you want to know? Like top speed?
I just wanted to know how tall and how fast, mostly. Yeah.
Top speed about 70 kilometers per hour, or 45 miles per hour.
Whew.
Size, you're talking up to 9 feet tall and about 320 pounds.
Interesting.
Their eyes are apparently 2 inches or 5 centimeters in diameter, which is apparently the largest of any land animal.
What? The largest of any land animal?
That's what Ostrich Facts, the world's largest bird, at www.livescience.com is telling me.
Thank you for citing. So you're telling me the land animal with the largest eyes in the world just goes around sticking its eyes in the sand?
Yep.
That's as risky as it ever is. Impressive. And he's never had any Johnny Cash-like encounters with them, right? He's never been attacked.
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know what to think about this. It's a very unique hobby.
This is for the 50-50, by the way. Not to put the pressure on you.
Yes, it is. I don't think it's true.
He doesn't think it's true.
I think this is a spin. I think the Johnny Cash Assassinators is a flashy little title. I think it's meant to be a distraction, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't remind me of Miley Cyrus's Emu.
Well, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back, or, as it turns out, a few ostriches. Because this is a true fact.
No. Oh, no. Terminator X raises ostriches?
Yeah.
What a life this man's led. To be a DJ in Public Enemy, one of the most successful and renowned rap groups in history, and then to retire to your quaint little 15-acre farm and raise a flock of birds with the largest eyes on land. Like, what a dream come true.
What a dream come true. You know, all of us can only, as kids, really dream about raising the animal with the largest diameter eyes. Very few of us get to actually live out that dream.
That's true. Why on earth would I ever have believed that? I'm not upset with missing that. Just like, what?
Yeah.
That's baffling.
It is baffling. And of course, I had to go with Johnny Cash Assassinators.
Yeah, no surprises there either.
I had a good feeling that that one was going to get you between the Johnny Cash callback and, like you hinted to, the Miley Cyrus Emu.
Yeah.
And also just why.
Yeah, right. This seems so random.
But there you have it, folks. Mixie Mix is back on top.
Still don't like it. Well, we'll see you next week, where you can come up with some more truths or lies. I'm kind of annoyed that Flavortown is now what made me miss 50-50. It's what gave you the win.
Yeah.
Was the first Flavortown fact.
Yeah. You know, Guy Fieri got you twice this week.
Hey, you know what? I didn't take a diner or a drive-in. Maybe I took a dive.
Ooh, that was so clever. I'm not even going to call you out for it definitely not being a dive.
Thank you.
Well, until next week. Yeah.
Boy, what a week.
What a week.
Definitely had to party for my right to fight in that difficult round of Factor Spin. That's been one of the hardest ones in a minute.
It was a hard one, wasn't it? That was a hard week.
A very challenging week because the fake facts kind of seemed true and the true facts were so hard to believe. Well, without further ado, let's talk about this album art. It is Chuck D and Flava Flav in a jail cell.
I don't know if I buy that.
You don't know if you buy it?
I mean, it takes a nation of millions to hold them back.
That's true.
What's a couple bars gonna do?
A couple of bars can do a lot. That's the whole point of this album, is them spitting a couple bars, seeing what it can do. I think much like the rest of this album, content-wise, the album cover is exactly what this album is about. If you look at this album cover, you know exactly what the messaging behind this album is. And if you listen to this album, you realize it matches the album cover. They're Public Enemy.
Elegantly said.
Thank you. At least one of us can speak elegantly. Well, let's begin with track 1.
Well, hang on. Before we begin, we gotta count down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's count down. What are we counting down to?
Armageddon.
Nice. Countdown to Armageddon is track 1. How do we count it down? 3, 2, 1. Countdown to Armageddon?
Man, I would have preferred a longer countdown to Armageddon.
Oh,
I mean, I'd like start at like 100 trillion, something.
100 trillion?
Give me plenty of time.
Okay. 100 trillion. 999 billion, 999 million, 999,999. 2, 1. And we're ready to go. Boy, it's going to be a long recording. after that. But Countdown to Armageddon's up first. It's actually the former title track.
Oh.
This was the album's working title before they changed it to It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. I like both titles, to be honest.
I like the sirens.
The sirens are great, yes. It's a good thematic start to the album. It's also its concert audio, by the way, captured from a live show they did in London, England, which is, of course, a nation of millions. How many nations out there are made of less than millions?
A lot of them.
Yeah, but like a lot of them are also more.
Countries with less than 1 million people.
Well, it needs to be less than 2 million people because it's millions.
Oh, less than 2 million people.
I think. And I don't know. Here we go. The smallest country that could not hold back Public Enemy, Latvia.
Oh, wow.
With a population of 1.86 million. But they are number 146 out of roughly 195.
So you're saying there's 146 countries that couldn't?
Yeah, 145 countries could, in theory, hold back Public Enemy.
Oh, 145 could, because they have higher, right? It's a list top to bottom that you're looking at, not the other way around.
Yeah.
It's a lot of countries.
Anyway, that's a fun little fact about world populations.
Oh, the smallest one, the country that could hold them back the least, Vatican City. Pope better watch out.
Vatican City is down there.
Bottom of this list.
Yeah, it's the smallest. Well, that's at the bottom of this list, too. This also includes the Pitcairn Islands, but they're part of the UK. But their population is 40. The number of people that listen to this episode of the podcast is greater than the population of the Pitcairn Islands.
We should launch an advertising campaign there and try to get all...
100% listenership
Yeah, that'd be pretty great.
from the Pitcairn Islands.
Imagine being able to say that you have 100% listenership in a country.
That's pretty epic. That's pretty cool. Don't think we can get that kind of pull from the Vatican City. But yeah, the live concert audio, the sirens, they're really great. It's just a really interesting opening. It kind of gives you a sense. I mean, to talk about how they tried to incorporate more of their live energy into their album, it makes sense to come right out of the gate swinging like this.
It does.
And after we kind of get this nice intro, they finally start to bring the noise with track 2, Bring the Noise. It was the album's second single. It peaked at number 56 on the Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs chart, and it was actually included on the soundtrack for the 1987 movie Less Than Zero. What do you think about Bring the Noise?
I like when they go, D!
Yes, that's the thing about Public Enemy that I really like. Chuck D and Flavor Flav have some really expressive little, like, trademarks in there. Like Chuck D going bass and Flavor Flav's Yeah Boy, right?
Yeah.
They each have their own little quirks and things, and they sample that throughout the album. So you hear it a lot, and it really helps give you a sense of their personality. It really helps you kind of differentiate who's who. If you're coming into this album cold like I was at first and like you are, it helps you pick out, oh, that one's Flavor Flav because he just said, yeah, boy. That one's Chuck D because of the way he just said bass. You know, like you can follow and pick it out. It's a lot of fun. The song itself is a response to a critic from their past album, Bum Rush the Show. He described their music as noise. So with this second album, they decided to open it up and say, hey, look, if we're noise, if we're just making noise, yeah, we're going to bring the noise.
I also really like the record scratches.
Yes. Record scratching is a huge part of early hip hop. And I mean, more so this style than what A Tribe Called Quest was doing. Mm-hmm. But it's such a prominent, like, you just don't hear that much in music anymore, especially not organically. Everything feels fake and like forced and digital now. But this is like actually a DJ actually with a turntable scratching the records like he wanted them to scratch. This is skilled, like, manual mixing work. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool.
This song references a lot of people, too.
It does. It shouts out everyone from LL Cool J and Run DMC to more unconventional picks like Yoko Ono and Sonny Bono.
Yeah.
Really interesting. They even shout out the thrash metal band Anthrax, who actually would go on to do a metal cover of the song because they liked receiving that shout out so much, which I guess means they shouted themselves out.
I also found out a fun little factoid about the song that it has a very complex meter.
Yeah? What'd you find out?
It makes use of dactylic hexameter.
That's a wild one. So hexameter is like over 6, right?
Yeah, it's a form of meter or rhythmic scheme frequently used in ancient Greek and Latin poetry, which is why I've heard of it before.
Oh, I see.
I've taken several Greek and Roman culture classes in my college days.
Uh-huh.
The scheme of the hexameter is usually as follows. It's usually long, short, short, 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 long, long is how it ends. And that's what makes it unique is that long, long on the 6th set.
Yeah, you're kind of right, though. I'm thinking about it once again. Back is the incredible rhyme, animal. Like,
Yeah.
we get the long and the short.
You can sometimes use like a secondary long instead of a double short if need be, but the idea is to typically do like long, short, short.
Interesting. It's like iambic pentameter in Shakespeare, but different hexameter.
Yeah, I mean, some really well-known examples that you may have even read. I don't know how much of Greek stuff you've done, but Homer's Iliad and Odyssey both are written in dactylic hexameter.
I've been meaning to, ever since we talked about Carole King and her cat Telemachus, which, by the way, I'm going to go on record and correct that we said Telemachus really wrong, and I've been informed by my friends who are more acquainted with Greek that it's Telemachus.
I'll be 100% honest with you. Until you just said this right now, I had no idea you were trying to say Telemachus when you said that. If I'd realized that's who you were going for, that's how badly you said it. I had no idea you were trying to refer to Telemachus.
Yeah, I didn't know that I was either. I didn't know that it was a Greek name. I thought it was just a cat. Yeah, anyway, I'm glad we've cleared that up.
But Ovid's Metamorphosis, the Argonautica, a lot of the famous Greek stuff is written in dactylic hexameter. So
just like this.
when I saw that little tidbit, I was like, really? That's like, I had kind of the same thing you just had where I went, I guess it is. Yeah.
It's advanced. That's really cool. And I think that's interesting because it just shows, as much as it might sound off the cuff and as much as hip hop is like a freestyle-able genre, it's not always that way. And sometimes it's really intentionally constructed and follows a form. That's really cool. I like that. Good find. Good discovery.
Yeah, I brought something.
You did. Bring the Noise starts with a sample of Malcolm X giving a speech in 1963, and then it continues to sample from 8 different songs by artists like James Brown and the Commodores, Funkadelic, and Marva Whitney. They all get samples on this. Chuck D actually was not a fan of Bring the Noise at first.
Dang.
He didn't love it, but after he realized how much fans loved it, he really warmed up to it.
Well, yeah, he's like, oh, this song's making me money? I love it now.
Right. Suddenly, my new favorite. That's actually what it is, though. He said, I hated that record. I practically threw it out the window. I kept hearing people ask, what's this record you got out? People are going crazy over it. I was like, okay, pull the acetate out. Let's play it in concert. People went berserk. So I guess that's a case where he could believe the hype. But track 3 is up next. And that's a case where you don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype was the album's 3rd single, and probably, along with like a Fight the Power type song, I think Don't Believe the Hype is maybe one of the group's most iconic singles. Maybe number 2, if I'm ranking them. It did peak at number 18 on the US R&B chart, and got a little traction in the UK as well.
This is one where I like that little E.
What's the E? Where's that?
I don't know.
Oh, sorry, the screechy noise that just happens throughout the whole thing?
Yeah.
I thought you meant like someone saying E. Yeah, I couldn't.
No.
I understand why you couldn't quite replicate that.
That was the best way I could describe the...
The squealy little noise. Did you like that?
Yeah.
That's the kind of dentist drill mosquito buzzing type sample.
Yeah, I told you. Hey, there's one thing you need to know about Connor. Fan of the dentist.
A fan of the dentist? That's the one thing people need to know about you? You must have really good teeth.
No.
Why do you think I go to the dentist so often?
That's why I'm such a big fan. They fix it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd like all the sampling of don't. Like, it gets a little repetitive, and the screeches and the squealies and the...
Well, the don't is whatever.
Oh, it's whatever.
Something like that kind of just becomes part of the music almost. Though, part of the instrumentation.
Definitely, it's part of just the vibe they're going for. Yeah, to put it in there like that. That wall of noise. I like this. I like the concept that, they're claiming I'm a criminal, but the enemy could be their friend, guardian. Like, he's saying we're not the enemy because we're trying to be the enemy. We're being made into the enemy. We could be friends.
We could be even frenemies.
Oh, Public Frenemy. I don't know what kind of music that band makes, but it sounds a little wishy-washy. When he was writing these lyrics, Chuck D was inspired by a lot of contemporary politics, but also by the work of Noam Chomsky is where he drew a lot of the lyrics, which is cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Any other notes about the meter on this one? Any fun rhythmic facts? Tempo?
Not that I'm aware of.
I see.
Not saying there isn't.
It is the case, though. Again, I mean, when you talk about them trying to make new, more engaging hip-hop music, Don't Believe the Hype is definitely one of those songs where they took the tempo and cranked it up to like 120 or a pace that hip-hop had not traditionally gone to.
Yeah.
I mean, to listen to this compared with something it's contemporary with, like A Tribe Called Quest, that had a lot more mellow of a feel to it. You know, I remember you could listen to Phife Dawg and Q-Tip rap, and it's a lot slower. They don't quite fit as many syllables into a second like Public Enemy does here. And I think it's a neat effect.
It is a neat effect.
So yeah, I do believe the hype. Don't believe the hype is a hit. It's, according to the Spotify plays, their most popular from this record. Up next, though, a really interesting track called Cold Lampin' with Flavor. Apparently, Public Enemy does this Beatles-esque thing. You know, on every album for the Beatles, Ringo had to sing a song and have a solo feature. Public Enemy does the same thing with Flavor Flav. So, Cold Lampin' with Flavor is Flavor Flav's solo feature. It's really just him cutting loose, having fun with some rhymes. What did you think about Cold Lampin'?
I thought it was interesting.
It sure is. This is, if you talk about those reviews that said Public Enemy was devoid of melody, that's what Cold Lampin' is. There is not a melody to be had.
No, but
Combine that with Hank Shocklee's unrepeating, unlinear production style and arranging style. Cold Lampin' is chaotic. Now, it's not defined explicitly in the song, so I had to do a little digging. I went and found, like, Urban Dictionary. I found some things. And again, Urban Dictionary, you just never know. Take it with a grain of salt.
yeah.
Cold lamping as a phrase had several definitions. One that I found was really interesting is that DJs, apparently in cities, used to tap into street lights at night to power their DJ equipment, and they had underground rap battles there.
Oh.
So cold lamping is like sapping power from the city's electric grid to have a rap battle. Again, grain of salt.
Oh.
But it also could just mean chilling out under a street light. Maybe a street light that's been off because it's cold. Who knows?
Maybe a streetlight that's been off because the power for it's been drawn for DJ equipment.
Been sucked away. Yeah, who knows? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, but it's just an interesting phrase. And Flavor Flav, what a guy. This contains such certified poetry as, get out the wax sack. I'm in my Flav mobile, cold lamping. And for a guy who studied culinary stuff in school, he's talking about having a pack of Franks and a big bag of Frito-Lays. Flavor Flav on a hype tip. I'm your hype drink. Come take a big sip. I think it's just fun. Like, this is a blast.
Yeah.
And it's also fun how much time he does dedicate talking about flavors. Chocolate, vanilla, chocolate again, he says. Strawberry, sarsaparilla, which isn't really a flavor, right? It's more of a combination of flavors. I don't know. He even talks about the clock on his chest in the lyrics. It's just a really interesting portrait of Mr. Flav. It also is kind of interesting to me that this song is more than 4 minutes long. And Don't Believe the Hype was 5 minutes long. I think this is an album that I just get so immersed in while I'm listening to it that doesn't affect me. I feel like the wall of noise does a really good job at making me forget and like lose track of the beginning and end of songs. Like, there are definitely moments on this album that stand out and that I remember a lot, but in general, those moments are backed up by a whole lot of like stuff. And that's the best way I think I could describe it, is there's just so much happening production-wise. Samples on samples on samples. It's really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Up next, we get a special song from the ostrich farmer himself, Terminator X. His real name is Norman Rogers. And of course, he is, at this point in time, Public Enemy's DJ. Terminator X to the Edge of Panic is track 5. What do you think? It's another moment where we kind of get a peek into their live show.
It samples something.
It sure does. So you can hear part of it, I think, in there is sampling Queen and The Flash at the beginning. Is that what I hear? But it also does feature an iconic sample that will come up again later in the album.
Mm-hmm. Is it not? I'm afraid to say what I think it is, because I'm afraid I'm going to look like a fool.
What do you think it is? I can tell you what it is. I know it.
Do you?
Yeah, I looked in my notes. I Control-F'd it. I found it. What do you think it is?
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Pretend you're at the dentist. Tell me what the dentist drill is.
Oh, that's funny.
Thank you.
I'm scared to say it.
What's the worst that could happen? You say it and you're wrong, and I say no, and then I tell you the right answer.
I look like a fool. Again, tired of being the fool on this podcast.
I guess it depends on how bad your guess is. No, but what is it? You can't make that bad of a guess.
I could. Is that part where it gets all skippy a reference to Flash Gordon?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. Look at that. I don't look foolish.
It's funny that I already mentioned Queen.
Oh, does Queen do that?
Yeah.
Oh, no idea. I don't think I knew Queen did that.
It's one of their most popular hits.
Guess I never put that together.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I think that sample is a part of the song, but also the dentist drill part of the song, we'll talk about it again later, comes up, but it's a song called The Grunt. It's a saxophone glissando in that song, and it's by the JBs. So get familiar with that. Do-do-do-do-do. That kind of walk down thing comes back a second time, and maybe even a third. I like Terminator X to the Edge of Panic. I think it's a good taste of what Terminator X is like so infamous for, and his DJ style is very apparent, and I like it a lot. Up next, a song that is kind of more or less like a Public Enemy instrumental, Mind Terrorist. There are some samples tossed in, bass for your face.
Bass for your fass.
Yeah, they just throw it all in there. Repeat it a few times, sample it a few times. It's a quick little minute and 21 interlude. Kind of like it.
It is kind of nice.
Yeah, it's a nice little reprieve from that wall of noise for a minute.
Yeah, boy.
Gotta love Flavor Flav. What a guy.
What an ambassador.
What an he can ambassador my Flavortown anytime.
That means he can commit a crime. Park in a non-parking zone.
What do you mean? Ambassadors can't commit crimes. What?
Yeah, they have, like, immunity.
Diplomatic immunity? Mm-hmm. Not from all crimes.
No, but that's why I gave the example of, like, parking somewhere they're not supposed to.
Yeah, I guess that could be a thing he does.
Or murder.
No, that one's not allowed.
Oh.
But I think as an ambassador to Flavortown, he does have diplomatic immunity to be louder than a bomb.
Ooh, good transition.
Thank you. That's up next. It's track 7. We're almost halfway through this hour-long album. Louder Than a Bomb.
Already.
I know. Time flies. I think Louder Than a Bomb really reinforces the wall of noise concept. I think it's just an interesting track in general. I like the back and forth here. They kind of talk to each other and banter, which is really nice. It always just lets a little more of the personality and the humor shine through. And there's just so many lyrics in here, in this and all the other songs, that you just can't pick up on one listen.
So many.
They're right, though. Chuck just has such a powerful vocal. There's just an energy to it and an oomph. And I think that's really apparent on Louder Than a Bomb.
So powerful.
Right? And he's got such a way with words. I'll say it once again. I'm called the enemy. I'll never be a friend of those with closed minds. Don't know I'm rapid. The way that I rap, it is making them tap it. What a series of lines. It's so cool. Mm-hmm. He's just got an innate sense of what's going to work in a verse.
I have a question.
What's your question?
Well, I'm looking at the lyrics now, and I'm noticing that what I originally thought was I ain't milk toast is I ain't milk toast, but all one word and spelled very weird.
Right. You're not familiar with the adjective milk toast?
Right. Is that how that adjective is typically spelled?
Yeah, it's one word and it's Milquetoast.
Really?
And it means like plain, middle of the road, boring, vanilla, like tepid.
Plain. Yeah, I guess I've never seen that word spelled. I've only ever heard it.
You've only ever heard it, and so you thought it was...
And I just assumed it was literally the like milk toast, like, yeah, like the foods.
I think you're probably not alone in that, and that's definitely a revelation that all of us have had at one point or another. I think you're just a late bloomer, and that's okay.
I just got to have mine on a recorded podcast.
You just publicly... you had your milk toast coming of age right here, right now, in 2024.
I had no idea.
Isn't it interesting? It is spelled very weird, but it's cool.
I just really thought it was the other way, and that like it came to be because somebody was like, man, toast soaked in milk really sucks.
Milk is boring, toast is boring, put them together, boring.
Both very bland
What?
items, right? Exactly.
Now we got to go down the rabbit hole a tiny little bit. Milk toast, wow, is from the name of a cartoon character in the 1930s, Caspar Milquetoast, created by H.T. Webster in 1924. Now, why is he named Milquetoast?
Yeah, that's my next question.
I don't know if people know. Let me be more specific in my search. Oh, look at this guy. He looks like a Dr. Seuss character. That's Mr. Milquetoast.
Whoa. Looks like he sweats milk.
Perhaps.
Do you think we could acquire the rights to Mr. Milquetoast?
No way.
How expensive do you think he is?
He actually may be getting close to the public domain. If he was created in 1912, 1924, 1927, yeah, he might be getting pretty close to the public domain.
Then he's all ours.
Then he belongs to the people. Milquetoast belongs to the world soon.
He belongs to the public.
Anyway, that's a little aside. That's a nice little tangent that I didn't know. I like Chuck D. I like Louder Than a Bomb. It's just kind of on the same level as the rest of the album for me. Louder Than a Bomb is not one that stands out in my mind.
Yeah.
Unlike track 8,
Oh.
Caught, Can We Get a Witness? actually a pretty decent segue to talk about public domain and then talk about Caught, Can We Get a Witness? This is not based on a true story, but Chuck D said this song deals with the judicial system in America. First, we talk about how we're caught for sampling beats. Who says that a sound can be copyrighted? We're in court for stealing a sound. And it deals with how black people get treated in the court. Again, not based on a true story. Public Enemy's never been rung up for sampling. But it's all about intellectual property and how you can own or not own media ideas or sounds.
So are they of the opinion that it should all be free?
Yeah, definitely.
No copyright on sound?
Well, look at how many songs they've sampled right here. Just on this album alone. If you tried to make an album like It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back today, you would be broke before you could afford clearance for all the samples they've used. It's just not possible with the way intellectual property rights have moved and sampling has changed. But, I mean, in this era, it was kind of a new frontier, kind of a wild, wild west for sampling, and everyone kind of did what they wanted because there were no laws to protect or prevent this. So I definitely think they would be more of the opinion that it should be kind of like free and accessible. And
That's interesting.
yeah, it is.
I mean, it's definitely an interesting argument, right, that they've made of how do you copyright a sound that just anybody can make.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't think you're copywriting the sound. You're copywriting the series of sounds that make up a unique phrase. It's not like somebody's out there copywriting dough, right?
Not a note. Yeah, like Jay-Z copywriting a color. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's oh, you went do do re, and you're the first one to do that. You should get credit for that.
Yeah, definitely that's a part of it. It's also, it just depends on the context. I mean, a lot of these early hip-hop acts took elements of songs, like a drum track from this, or the saxophone glissando from that they repeated a dozen times and sped up, or like sometimes work is transformative. Like think about maybe like a painting that uses another painting and paints over top of it, right? You can take an original work and do something transformative to it to make your own unique statement and your own individual piece of art. But also, most often I'm of the opinion that people put a lot of work into creating these songs and also should be compensated.
Yeah. You still took somebody else's work and transformed it, right? You didn't start from scratch, so...
Yeah. Well, but a lot of what they do is from scratch. I mean, it'd be wild to say that Public Enemy doesn't have a claim.
No, I'm not even talking about Public Enemy in general. I'm just talking generalistically about the idea of copyright and how it applies to music.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
You used the argument that, you could take somebody else's work and transform it into something new. And I said, yeah, but in that scenario, you're not starting from scratch. You're starting with somebody else's work.
Right, you should definitely at least credit the person and pay for it. Like,
yeah,
they have the right to allow you to use or refuse to allow you to use it. And it just depends. That's way more of a process now than it was in 1987.
Yeah.
Especially coming from like a rap battle scene, a more underground, free-flowing situation where people did just have records that they scratched and picked up from record stores. But yeah, that's Caught, Can We Get a Witness? Very interesting take on sampling and intellectual property justice. Up next, they show us what they've got with track 9, Show Em What You Got.
What do they got?
They got another good saxophone solo, that's for sure.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Big fan of that saxophone solo.
Me too. What a nice breath of fresh air right at the halfway point here. It's a shorter track, minute 56 seconds. I think the album, we're probably time-wise past the halfway point a little bit.
Yeah.
The first 7 or 8 tracks are a lot longer, generally, than the last 8.
Sure.
But boy, it's fun. The song is a tribute to historical black leaders both in America and abroad, and just like Bring the Noise, they call a lot of them out by name directly. Marcus Garvey, Adam Clayton Powell, Stephen Biko, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, his wife Winnie,
Frederick Douglass.
Yeah, Frederick Douglass, the list goes on. In fact, Frederick Douglass more than gets called out, he gets quoted. The opening quote, "Freedom is a road seldom traveled by the multitude," is attributed to Frederick Douglass.
Yeah. Not only is the quote itself is often associated with Frederick Douglass, but the quote in this song is sampled from Harvey Henderson, who's the saxophonist of the Bar-Kays, and they took it from the 1972 music festival, Wattstax.
Yeah, they sure did. What a good saxophone solo. It makes me want to go look up the Bar-Kays. Want to spin cycleify them.
It sounded a little familiar, like maybe that has been sampled by other artists as well. It's a pretty fun, groovy saxophone.
Yeah, it really is.
They call out themselves in there, Public Enemy.
They do say Public Enemy quite a few times, just on this record in general.
Yeah.
But Public Enemy #1 does get sampled in thrown in there so many times.
It's used so much in this song and is like such an integral part to the wall of sound that on Genius Lyrics, it just says Chuck D and Flavor Flav samples repeat throughout. Public Enemy #1, show 'em what you got. And then they give you the actual rest of the lyrics.
Because they just happen constantly. It's just so much, which is cool.
Again, it almost becomes part of the instrumentation at that point.
Totally.
In the way that you're listening to it.
Definitely. And it's really cool that they, take samples from so many other people, but also kind of go the extra mile and sample their own vocals. The self-sampling is a thing that I think makes Nation of Millions really unique.
That's called self-plagiarizing.
Well, not plagiarizing if you just sample it. If they changed it, maybe. I don't know. The rules, like we just said, the rules are ambiguous. Who knows if that counts?
No, I've just that was more of a joke to the fact that I don't understand the concept of self-plagiarization. How can you plagiarize yourself?
Yeah, it's a pretty nuanced concept, isn't it? I thought it, and I still think it, and I said it, and I'm saying it again.
But I didn't tell you that I said it before.
Right.
And so now I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I don't know. You're making me think too hard. It makes me just want to turn off my brain and turn on the TV.
Oh, yeah? What channel do you usually watch?
I usually watch all kinds of channels. Very smart, intellectual TV.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you should ask her, though, because she watched Channel Zero.
Whoa.
She watched Channel Zero.
Again, if it wasn't for Stevie Wonder out here with like a bazillion A's or
O's, or he's got like a syllable that he says a lot.
And that just has locked down that reward forever. She Watch would have been in the running. She watch.
Certainly top 5. It's a lot of She Watches. But I think that's what makes the song so fun and memorable. I think this is one of my top 3s, maybe.
Each time the hook shows up, it's said 48 times.
That's so many.
And the hook comes up like 2 or 3 times. So
it does, at least. What I like about it, though, less than just she watch, it's just the horns behind it. Like, such a cool sound. Such an amazing just stack of samples. Hank Shocklee, this is maybe his finest production hour for me. If you want to talk about the difference between a jazz sampled rap song and a rock sampled rap song, just go listen to Butter and then go listen to She Watched Channel Zero. And this one will just blow your socks off.
And again, the way that I assume Chuck D says zero is so powerful.
He's just got such a resonant voice.
She watched Channel Zero. She watched Zero.
I know. It's great. The song is a commentary on how watching too much fantastical, fictional TV can rot your brain. Specifically, and especially, I suppose, it refers to dramatic soap operas. People watch them and lean into them.
Is that what was typically on Channel Zero?
No, Channel Zero is just a metaphor. It's supposed to represent just how nothingy what she's watching is. It's not literally Channel Zero, right? That's all radio static, all fuzz and no substance.
Yeah, no, makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's a neat little illusion.
Because that's all that is, right?
Yeah.
They say right in verse 2, 27548 she watched, she said, all added up to 0 and nothing in her head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she spent all this time just consuming this stuff and has nothing to show for it that's at all of value.
No, there's just been a waste. It's just been a way to pass the time. And she hopes the soaps are for real, but it's not true. She wants more drama, more something in her life, but that's just not real life. It's meaningless and fluff entertainment.
I like the line, but she won't survive and rather die in a lie.
Oh, falls a fool for some dude on the tube. I don't think I can handle. She goes channel to channel, looking for that hero. Man, they just don't make them like this.
She watched Channel Zero.
She watched times 48. It's just, I like it so much. And in 1987, I guess, that's TV time. You got a limited number of channels, but TV's starting to become even bigger, even more of a national brain drain. It's really neat. A really cool contextual piece for the time frame of this album. Another interesting song and another single from the album is track 11, Night of the Living Baseheads. It's another very activist-focused kind of song. It's all about the crack cocaine epidemic and how it was affecting black communities. It comes from the street slang for crack cocaine, freebase. So someone who is addicted to it, hooked on it, is a basehead.
Yeah.
It did hit number 62 on the US R&B singles chart, and Night of the Living Baseheads is unique on this record because it holds the title for using more samples than any other song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 20 different samples get used over the course of 3 minutes and 14 seconds. They even, once again, do a little self-sampling and put samples from Bring the Noise in here. I can't even pick out 20 different samples to listen to it. I can't fathom where they all come from.
Yeah. Apparently their long-form video for the song should not be missed.
I have currently missed it. I should not do that.
You should not do that.
I'll have to look it up. Turns out Baseheads also got a cover by the Insane Clown Posse, except they changed bass like freebase to bass like BASS, like the fish. Just kidding, like the instrument. And frequency.
And singing archetype.
Yes, bass. Or as Chuck D would say,
Bass!
Yeah, right. That's Night of the Living Baseheads.
I do think it's interesting that the next song starts with the line, bass for your face, London.
Bass for your face.
It's just as we're coming out of a song that's all about the bass heads. I know different bass spelling again, but thought it was kind of funny.
It definitely is. A lot more of that live vibe. Everybody in the house, say ho. Chuck, kick it to him, man. Classic. Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos is the next song, by the way. The one that starts with bass for your face.
What do you think is the Hour of Chaos? Which hour in the day is the Hour of Chaos?
You know, I was thinking the other day, totally unrelated, but kind of related. What hour do you think you've been awake for the least? And I think the answer is 4 a.m. And I think that's the Hour of Chaos.
Interesting. I would almost say 3 a.m.
No, I've seen plenty of 3s. I have not seen nearly as many 4s.
Really? You've seen plenty of 3s, huh?
Yeah, not lately.
Well, the problem is you are a late in the day sleeper.
Yeah,
There's plenty of people in the world, right, who get up at 4 a.m. all the time
that's true.
because they have to be at work at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So to me, I was thinking, like, on average, if I was trying to pick which hour people were up the least, it'd be closer to, like, 3. Because I agree, like, 1 and 2 o'clock is too close to midnight, that people are staying up partying into those hours.
Yeah,
And then you got the morning work crowd waking up for the 4 or 5 o'clock hours
that's a good point.
to get to work by 5, 6, 7. So that leaves with, like, 3 o'clock.
Maybe 3:45 is the Hour of Chaos.
That specific minute is the hour of chaos.
Yeah, that's the minute of chaos.
The minute of chaos.
Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, just like Night of the Living Baseheads before it, also samples Bring the Noise. They use that one song like half a dozen times on this album.
Hey.
They get a lot of mileage from Bringing the Noise.
That's because on every single one of these songs, they're bringing the noise.
They really are. And actually, later on in their careers, they would re-release Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos with more samples of themselves taken from future albums.
Oh.
So this song kind of, over time, evolves into like a Public Enemy career retrospective, which is really cool. But the primary sample in the song is from a 1969 song by Isaac Hayes called, and I am so sorry about this word, it's called Hyperbolic Syllabic Sesquidalamistic.
Expialidocious.
Yeah, that's really what it reminded me of, Mary Poppins. Hyperbolic syllabic sesquidalamistic. It's such a long word.
Please tell me. Tell me more about hyperbolic syllab. I'm not even going to try. If you struggled, I'm definitely not going to get there.
Definitely not. I can't tell you more about it, but it's in this song by Isaac Hayes from 1969.
Apparently, the strange titled Isaac Hayes song is usually seen as a love song, but after further research, it's been found that it could also be about heroin addiction.
You know, potato, potato. Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos is about a conscientious objector, someone who's opposed to the way things are. Usually that's said about war, right? Someone who morally objects to a war. But this conscientious objector breaks out of prison. So, I mean, it kind of matches the album cover again, but they filmed the music video in abandoned jail cells in the Essex County Jail in Newark, New Jersey.
Wow.
Which is actually a National Historic Landmark for its architectural and social history.
But to say I've heard of that jail.
Yeah. Is it because it's in a music video for Public Enemy?
Sure is not.
Well, now you've heard of it because of that, too.
Wow.
Small world. Chuck says, the song deals with me in jail, and being that I got a raw deal, the only way for me to get out is to do something to get me out. 2 wrongs will make a right. If I'm there wrongly, I'll have to get the correction officer's gun or something and start a prison riot in order for me to be free.
Okay.
And so that is the Hour of Chaos. Black Steel, of course, is a gun. The Hour of Chaos is the hour of prison riots. It all is coming together.
Makes sense.
Yes, it does. Up next is Security of the First World. Another bit of an instrumental interlude. Another bout of cool DJing and cool sampling. And Security of the First World is actually what the acronym S1W stands for. Part of their band and DJ crew use that acronym to this day. It's very drum heavy, which I like.
It is very drum heavy.
In fact, it's pretty much all drums.
Yeah.
But it's nice. Nice that it's in there. Another little spot to breathe for a minute before the 5-minute Rebel Without a Pause, which true to its name, does not have a pause. It was the album's first single and the very first song created for Nation of Millions.
Interesting.
It's a case where, by the time Bum Rush the Show came out, they already felt like what they had done on it was outdated. Like on the day of release, they were like, man, that's already so old. So this is an instance where they did try to speed up and innovate and do more with production. Hank Shocklee said on Rebel Without a Pause that he was inspired by I Know You Got Soul. And he said we were going for something that had the same feel, but with more aggression because we were angry. Shocklee even went so far as to call Rebel Without a Pause the first record that made up Public Enemy's signature sound and helped solidify their identity as a hip-hop fixture. So this is like an important song for them. Very crucial, like a cornerstone of what makes Public Enemy Public Enemy. One of the big samples that Shocklee leaned on is, of course, one you will recognize. You heard it before. It's the same sample they used on Terminator X to the Edge of Panic. The saxophone solo by the JBs, the grunt, but they reversed it and put it here on Rebel Without a Pause. Other samples on Rebel Without a Pause include James Brown, the Soul Children, and even Jefferson Starship, if you can believe it. They came up very recently, too. On the Creedence episode, maybe we just talked about Jefferson, Airplane, or Starship, or both for the first time. Funny. On top of all those samples and all that Shocklee production, Flavor Flav played the drums, and Chuck D wrote all the lyrics in half a day, and then recorded the song in 3 takes.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty remarkable. For a 5-minute song with so many words, I mean, he had the thing done in an afternoon.
Pretty impressive.
It really is.
He didn't take a single pause.
He did not. When he heard the final mix of the song, Chuck D said, I could die tomorrow because that record right there, nothing could flip and go nowhere near it. So even at the time that they were making it, he saw it as just the pinnacle of everything they were aspiring towards.
Yeah, I bet.
It's a reference or a parody of reference to Rebel Without a Cause, the classic James Dean movie from 1955, and much like the movie, it was a hit. Live audiences loved it, critics loved it. It was so popular, and actually, you may even know it, because Rebel Without a Pause made it into one of the radio stations from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, a game that you have recently professed your admiration for.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not guessing you cruised around Los Santos listening to the hip-hop radio station very much, but if you did, you might very well have come across Rebel Without a Pause.
You don't know me?
I guess I don't. That's true. And that's why I took an educated guess.
But no, I didn't.
See? My guess was so well educated that it was correct. Up next, and up next to last, track 15, Prophets of Rage. Chuck said the title, Prophets of Rage, came from an article I saw in Life magazine that had that caption about Malcolm X. It said, whatever happened to the Prophets of Rage? I like to make the title to a song first because it helps me write the rest of the song. I operate from the title down. And that's great. That's a good way to help stay on theme, which is a thing that I think Chuck and Public Enemy in general do really well throughout. It also samples, and I can't for the life of me pick it out, but it samples Earth, Wind & Fire's classic Shining Star. I guess it's probably just that big trumpet sound, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Well, you know how much we love Earth, Wind & Fire. That was a fun episode to do. I'm glad to see him come back here. Prophets of Rage is okay, but I think sandwiching it here in between Rebel Without a Pause and Party for Your Right to Fight kind of diminishes it a little bit. Plus, we're just so deep into this album that has been so wall of noise.
Yeah, I mean, we've had nothing but the giant wall of sound going for 15 tracks now.
Almost a full hour. We're almost to the end of that second side of the cassette tape. And things don't slow down. In fact, they speed up a little bit right here on Party for Your Right to Fight, the last track. It's a little switcheroo. On the Beastie Boys classic, you gotta fight for your right to party. Do you know that one?
Sounds right.
Okay.
That didn't make sense. Sounds familiar, is I believe what my brain was wanting to say there.
Sounds familiar. I'm sure you do know it. That's a pretty popular song. I actually believe they even shredded up a sample from the Beastie Boys song and put it into Party for Your Right to Fight. Also, did you listen to this album in headphones? Or what was your medium?
Headphones.
Okay. So, did you hear the fun little production trick they kind of did on Party for Your Right to Fight?
Of course I did. Now ask the better question. Did I recognize it when it happened?
You did hear it, but did you know that you were listening to it?
Uncertain.
I see. Well, what they did on this, they mixed the song in stereo, and Chuck's vocals were always on the right side. Flavor Flav was always on the left side. So as you listen, you could hear them kind of talking into each ear.
I did notice it was different. Couldn't have described it to you in that way.
Well, that's the way that it is. I think it's really neat. It's a unique effect for this album, and it's pretty cool.
It is neat.
So yeah, I guess that's gonna wrap up It takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Oh, I didn't even mean to, but I'll take credit for that. Gonna wrap it up. Fantastic. Well, let's get into final spin. For me, I really do think the length of It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back is kind of a big thing for me. And its general lack of melody is interesting, different, unusual for things that I usually listen to or gravitate towards. So I think when you hear the scores, you'll realize that the album's kind of hit hardest by a lower music score because of the lack of melody. There's a lot of cool sampling and stuff that is reflected in the instruments and the production, but like the nonlinear arrangements are interesting, but the lack of melody and the lack of any like point to ground you in most of these songs kind of detracts from the music score a little bit. But it is an iconic record. These tracks, some of them are literally among the absolute greatest in hip-hop's pantheon. So you got to respect that. Its historical value is really impressive. And I think actually in researching things for this episode and coming back to this album a while later after listening to it on repeat for a month really improved my general opinion of it. I learned a lot about how they made this album, why they made it the way they did. I think it might need to get a little bit of a rescore or revisit in the near-ish future because I just learned so much that I didn't know. You know, to go in cold, you don't know any of this stuff, and now I've learned. But for me, music is getting a 70 for the aforementioned reasons. Lyrics are getting an 80. I really like their patent political activism, their humor. It blends well, and it's like overt but not too heavy-handed. They don't conceal or dance around anything, but this album isn't like, it's not preachy. Instruments and production, 84. Man, I love that Hank Shocklee style. The Bomb Squad knocks it out of the park. I really enjoy the whole thing. 84 for that. 79 for the overall vibe. And again, a lot of that is just maybe a little tiny touch of burnout after an hour. But overall, I really enjoyed this album. It's getting a 77.2 from me, which puts it at number 663. And in a great coincidence, because I've talked about them all episode, that does put it below A Tribe Called Quest and The Low End Theory.
Coincidence? I think not.
No, yeah, it's not. It is, but it's not. I mean, they're similar albums in a lot of ways, too. We've already kind of delved into that a little bit. But also it puts it above SOS by SZA. So that's where it lands for me, 77.2.
Very nice.
Yeah. Now, so far, your thoughts on this album have consistently surprised me.
Yeah?
And been not exactly what I thought you were going to say or think about things.
Okay.
Not to put you in a box, but...
Well, you constantly try.
I know. Well, just based on past trends, albums like this, from this era of hip-hop, haven't always been your cup of tea.
I'm unknowable.
But again, I don't know if you drink a lot of tea, so maybe that's a good thing.
I don't. I actually don't like tea.
Well, there you go. If this isn't your cup of tea, maybe it's your cup of milk.
The only way I get my caffeine is via sugary drinks. I don't do coffee or tea.
Naturally.
Or energy drinks, really. So that just leaves soda.
Maybe this is your can of soda, if it's not your cup of tea.
If it's a can of soda, it's like Sprite or 7-Up.
If only Sunny D were a soda.
And I say that because, not that you would know this, but I like Sprite and 7-Up, but only if I'm sick.
Oh, okay.
It's a when I'm sick drink because it's like I need something fizzy or whatever, but I don't want like something overly flavored or sweet.
Flavor Flaved?
Yeah, exactly. So like to me, I guess I drank 7-Up and Sprite so much as a kid when I would be sick that now
That you got used to it?
it's like I don't ever want it when I'm not.
You're conditioned.
Exactly. And so I say all this to get to the point of it serves a purpose, this album. I think it was very fundamental in the formative years of hip-hop, rap, this kind of genre, right?
Yeah, rap, as you called it.
Rap, yep, that was definitely me. And I quite enjoyed their style. I think individually, I enjoyed just about every single one of these songs. Mm-hmm. But my big complaint is, I think the same one you have, is I just listened to 57 minutes and 58 seconds of a wall of noise. That was the same thing over and over. I said I appreciate the dentist. I'm a big fan of the dentist. I don't want to have the dentist drilling in my mouth for a whole hour.
That's a great point. That probably means something's gone very wrong.
And so for me, the album score maybe is lower than what I would have given, than what my individual song opinions were. Because I'm giving this one 6 milk toasts out of 10.
Wow, okay. Now is that milk toast like the adjective or milk toast? Like maybe you're toasting with a cup of milk.
The way it's supposed to be spelled, like the adjective.
Okay, like the guy, like Caspar Milquetoast.
Yeah, that way anybody who looks at my units. We will ensure no more late bloomers make it.
Oh, you're looking to inform people on the adjective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be like me. Do better. Nice. It's a bit of a milquetoast unit, but 6 is actually decent for what I expected from you for this.
Yeah, it's gonna go right below. We're just gonna put it right below Kendrick Lamar. Sorry, Foo Fighters.
I see we're forming another rap group slowly but surely. No, that's fair. Actually,
for this one, the genre is gonna say Rob. So
it's not, but that's great. I'm actually kind of glad that you liked Damn better than this. I think that's validating for my pick for Kendrick.
But no, I really did enjoy several of the songs. So I guess we should go ahead and talk about my Connor top 3, of which I actually only get 3, unfortunately.
That's right. How many did you take last week? 8? So you lose 1, 2, 3, 4.
My top 3 in album order. Bring the Noise.
It's only in every other song on this album. It's a good pick.
Don't Believe the Hype.
I do believe the hype.
And Show 'Em What You Got.
Interesting. That is quite a pick. Saxophone solo really got to you, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know what my top 3 would be. It probably would certainly include Bring the Noise. It almost certainly would include Don't Believe the Hype.
Yeah, after that, it gets a bit difficult to decide.
It really does. I enjoy Terminator X to the Edge of Panic a lot. Caught Can We Get a Witness is really cool. I probably, like I said, would include She Watched Channel Zero in it.
Yeah, I wish I could have.
Rebel Without a Pause, Party for Your Right to Fight. They're all on my short list. I think a third, at least, of the songs on this album are really standout tracks.
Yeah. So it sounds like we've already picked our playlist picks.
Does it?
Well, we both kind of said Bring the Noise and Don't Believe the Hype are easy top 3s, but the rest of it gets difficult. Sounds like we've picked our favorite 2 songs.
Which one of those 2 do you want?
Oh, I'm taking Bring the Noise.
Okay. I'm kind of tempted to take She Watched Channel Zero just for how much that is.
Do it.
I like the maximalist style of it.
Sure. Go ahead. Take it.
I think I will, but Don't Believe the Hype. I don't know. Don't Believe the Hype does feel a little similar to Bring the Noise. I don't know. I'll do it. I'll take She Watched Channel Zero.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I'll take Bring the Noise.
I guess I should have asked this earlier, but I'm kind of curious which Bring the Noise was your favorite. Was it this one that was in your top 3? Or was it NSYNC Bring the Noise, which was utterly forgettable and did not make your top 3?
No, this one.
Okay. Flavor Flav is better than Flavor Lime. Well, what do you know?
What do you know? Here we are.
That's right. We spun it without a pause.
Oh, another unit I had if we didn't like Milk Toast was Mysterious D's.
He is a mysterious D. What's it stand for? Chuck, tell us. Let us know. Maybe he's Chuck D. Rapper. That'd be so cheesy. I actually would hate that. I'd like him less if it was Chuck D. Rapper. Unlike Chance the Rapper, I guess. I didn't critique him for that, but Secret D. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Spin It. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week for another episode with another album. And much like this week, the podcast will not be televised, but you can also find it wherever you listen to podcasts. So be sure to like, follow, give us a rating, leave a comment.
Like where you're at right now.
Where you're at right now or where you will be some other time. You can find us on social media as well. Do believe the hype. And check us out on Instagram at SpinItPodOfficial and on X at SpinItPod. And of course, you can find us at our website, www.spinitpod.com. Tune in next week to hear Connor say something utterly ridiculous like this.
I hear if you put the sun up your butt, you get your vitamin D faster. Can't believe I said that.
I can't either. Tell a friend who you want to rap battle in a moving van about the podcast.
Tell a friend who you would nominate to be an ambassador to Flavortown.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Tell your most flavorful friend.
I think that's something I bring to this podcast. I think I'm very good at coming up with the tell a friends. You seem to like mine a lot.
I do. Maybe you should just do it now. Mine are never as good. That could be your end of the episode thing.
That puts a lot of pressure on me when I can just wing it every time and you always have a backup. But I can do it. It can be my thing.
I can do it too.
I need a thing.
Trust me, you got a thing.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
Hey, there's only one thing left to do.
You're right. Bring the noise. And keep
spinning.
I guess that's 2 things.
Well, now you've ruined the whole outro.
Ruined?
You want to go cold lamping? I
want to go try and figure out what cold lamping is. Yeah. If we get in trouble for it, then we'll know we're right. It's just trial and error.
We're going to put it to the test.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go read up some more about dactylic hexameter.
Dactylic hexameter is cool. I want to go figure out what Caspar Milquetoast is all about. Like, why is he so boring that his name's become the epitome of blandness?
Yeah. Base.